Welcome. In this video, we will show how to install the Optique platform. To get started, just visit the fluidops.com homepage and go to the Downloads link. And from here, select Download Installer. This redirects you to the App Center website. From here, you can register. And so I'm just going to use my user here. The registration process is shown in another video if you want to reference this one. And from here, just download Linux and other, and download the zip file of the current FluidOps distribution. In addition to that, just hit the search bar and basically in all the apps which are stored in the App Center, you can search for the Optique app. Choose this one, Scalable End User Access to Big Data. Gets you to the feature description and some screenshots, and from here you can select Download App, which downloads optique.zip. Okay, next up, just unzip the FluidOps suite. You can do that to your desktop. And I have my 3 apps which I downloaded over here. You can open this folder. You need to wait a little bit. And here's the apps folder, and I can just copy or move these 3 files in here. Thereby, when I first start the Information Workbench, those 3 apps will be installed. So this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to launch the platform and visit my browser window, go to localhost. And you already see that the Information Workbench is now branded with the Optique platform because the Optique components are installed. We can log in using admin IWB, and you get to the core system. So right now you need to install a license. You can get a free development license from the App Center. There's a request license button here, which explains exactly under which circumstances for educational use, partner, customers, testing, and so on use cases. You get free development license. Just send an email to sales@fluidops.com. And I can just browse my license file here and install the license, and the license warning is gone. I can now also go to the admin/apps page. From here I can see that my apps are installed, and I can immediately see that there's some help page, for instance, to go to on top. For this one here, there's also, you have the possibility to download a small example dataset, which we will now integrate into the Information Workbench using R2RML and R2RML mapping and the on top Sparkle to SQL federation. So I can find the link to the sample data here. And the next step is to go to Settings and Data Sources. And here we will just continue with a very simple data source and choose a CSV file. It's going to be called the CSV data source, and we're going to use the example data, which we uploaded. We can do a preview here, so it's a very simple zip code and location mapping, and we're going to save the data source here. So this is actually an internal H2 database now. Of course, that can also be, if I go back, I can also choose any kind of JDBC database with different connection strings to Oracle, DB2, etc. But for the sake of the simple demonstration, we're just going to stick with this small database. And here I can now bootstrap a mapping, which means if I click on this one, it will generate an R2RML mapping, which is sort of a default mapping. I can have a look at this mapping rule and look at the mapping, which says everything is an instance of example data. And there's default mappings, which basically just transfer or map the table columns into RDF properties. I can also preview the resulting triples here by clicking on that one, and of course manually massage my mappings here, hook them up to a proper ontology, etc. But we'll skip this one here and go to the next step, which is we will now, so we basically have our mapping, we have our data source, and the next step is to create a repository, an RDF repository. So we select repository management here and go to this dropdown, and we will select the on-top data source and just press submit here. And you see that the on-top virtual repository is created, and I can now configure it, and I can specify the data source. I also specify the mapping collection, and those are presented to me by a dropdown, and I will simply leave away the ontology now. The ontology is optional. Of course, it's recommended to provide ontology here, but for the sake of simplicity, we'll just leave it out in this case, and we'll submit. And you can see that the on-top repository is now initialized. You can now click on configure again and test it. And of course, now we would like to issue a query against this. So let me go to my Sparkle query interface, and we'll just choose, since it's a very small database, we can write a query, which of course otherwise wouldn't be recommended, and just dump all the subjects, predicates, and objects. And down here, I can specify the repository to query, and we will choose on top here. And if I submit my query, you can see that I basically have all the things that I had in my zip code database earlier are now exposed as RDF triples. So of course, if I have a proper ontology in there, which has a subsumption relationship, for instance, that's something that OnTop can compute on the fly. And a person or a customer, for instance, would then also be typed to be a person, for instance, if customer is a subclass of person, and so on. Next topic is, so that basically the part of Optique where we can see the Sparkle federation part. Some of the advanced features, of course, are, if I go back to data sources, I can create a new data source, and I can set up an XREAM federated JDBC table. So this is extremely interesting because I can set up multiple SQL databases, Oracle databases, IBM databases, and so on, and hook them up onto the XREAM system. So let me show you the website. So from xream.org, you can download a Docker container and deploy the system also in a scale-out fashion. This dialog here allows you to make the existing JDBC databases known to XREAM, and then basically do the same thing that we just did with the H2 database on top of a federated SQL XREAM database. And that is a very powerful mechanism, which, as you can see, is fully integrated into the Information Workbench and the Optique platform. Okay, thanks very much, and hope you had fun with this presentation.